Now, as we mentioned earlier, United States President Barack Obama has urged Israel and the Palestinians to relaunch peace talks in hopes of averting a challenging UN crisis over Palestinian statehood. Now, Barack Obama says he's frustrated with the lack of progress.
Now, I know that many are frustrated by the lack of progress. I assure you, so am I. But the question isn't the goal that we seek. The question is, how do we reach that goal? And I am convinced that there is no shortcut to the end of a conflict that has endured for decades. Peace is hard work. Peace will not come through statements and resolutions at the United Nations. If it were that easy, it would have been accomplished by now. Ultimately, it is the Israelis and the Palestinians who must live side by side. Ultimately, it's the Israelis and the Palestinians, not us, who must reach agreement on the issues that divide them, on borders and on security, on refugees and Jerusalem.
US President Barack Obama speaking in the UN General Assembly just a short time ago. For more, Craig McMurtry joins us now from Washington. This manoeuvre by the Palestinians, Craig, it seems to have almost semi-panicked people like Barack Obama. You can hear it in the voice now, can't you?
Well, the thing that struck me watching the President's speech was just how isolated he seemed, and also the extraordinary shift, I suppose, given 2 years ago he was in Cairo promising a new beginning with the Muslim world. Just as the Arab uprisings are happening in the region, he finds himself staking out a position now that is really going to damage his standing and America's standing in that part of the world, explaining in his address to the UN why the US will indeed veto any move by the Palestinians to seek statehood at the Security Council. And as if to underline that sense of isolation, soon after Barack Obama spoke, the French President Sarkozy got up and spoke, and he threw his support behind a second possibility here, which is if the US exercises its veto at the Security Council, the Palestinian Authority then goes to the General Assembly seeking observer status. It's a lesser status at the UN, but it could still give them access to some UN bodies. And the contrast of the French President's position with Barack Obama's position was just stark. After Barack Obama spoke to the UN General Assembly, he sat down with the Israeli Prime Minister, and the Israeli Prime Minister described the President's position in support of Israel against this move for statehood by the Palestinian Authority as a badge of honour. Have a listen.
The Palestinians deserve a state, but it's a state that has to make that peace with Israel. And therefore their attempt to shortcut this process, not negotiate a peace, that attempt to get a state membership in the United Nations will not succeed. I think the Palestinians want to achieve a state through the international community, but they're not prepared yet to give peace to Israel in return.
Benjamin Netanyahu speaking there. And Craig, as you say, it seems clear and has been for some time now that this vote won't succeed. But it has succeeded at least in, well, splintering those who may have been neatly lined up on either side of this issue, or, as you suggest, of weakening the US's position in all of this. Is that the upside?
Well, it certainly pushed Barack Obama toward the Israeli Prime Minister, if there was a gap between the two, because he's boxed in the sense that right now the Republican contenders for the nomination, that party's nomination to go up against Barack Obama next year, are really latching on to this issue. Rick Perry, for example, questioning the Obama administration strategy all along, blaming the strategy for this moment now with the Palestinians going to the UN seeking statehood. He's saying that it's basically the White House's fault, that the administration has had the wrong strategy all along, and they are questioning Barack Obama's commitment to the security of Israel. Now, the President was at pains several times today to say that there is no question of his support for Israel's security, but he really is isolated. And it's not just a problem, of course, for America. It's a problem for US allies too, like Australia, because if this gets to a vote, and that's still an open question, there is a lot of work going on behind the scenes to at least delay a vote at the Security Council. And if it gets to the General Assembly after that, Australia and, of course, all the other UN member nations are going to have to make a decision about whether they're going to vote yes no or abstain.
Good to talk to you today, Craig. Thanks so much.
Okay.